Hi, it's Wednesday. It is the first day of July, so let's get started. Where's this year going? Okay, this one was a little odd. I got four different letters from four different people across the United States, but the same question was basically in each letter, and the question was, do earthbound spirits see you when you're naked? Of course. These letters were one was from a Joanne, one from a Shirley, one from a Susan, and one from a Tom. Um, if they're in the same room with you when you are naked, of course they're going to see you. Now, if you have a gentleman ghost in your room when this process of undressing is happening, hopefully he will leave so that you have your privacy. But if the ghost is a pervert, my gosh, do you really think he's going to leave? I mean, for heaven's sake, he's invisible. You can't see him, but he could certainly see you. So, no, if and that's why I get a little upset when I get letters from parents that have high school girls in the house or college age girls in the house. Teenage boys are teenage boys, whether they're alive or dead. So you just have to, be aware. Now, a couple signs that maybe you've got something in the house. If you're taking a shower and for no reason the temperature of the water changes. In other words, it's like in some houses, if somebody's taking a shower and you flush the toilet, the shower gets real hot. Well, that would be a sign. Another sign would be if you get out of the shower and there is writing on the mirror from the steam that was in the shower. Everything I'm telling you has actually happened. Uh, your towel's in a different place. Pretty much we're creatures of habit. We always put our towel in the same place, but if it's across on the other side of the sink, how did it get there? And yes, you can shut the garage. Sure, you can shut the door to the bathroom, but they can go through it. Closed doors mean nothing to them. So, as a matter of fact, a real quick story. There was a lady that had her bathroom off of her, gosh, as they're called now, her primary bedroom. And she was there home alone, and she had a glass shower stall, and it had the bar on the outside where you could, hang your towel over the top of it. And she was in the shower, and she's taking a shower, and she thought she saw her towel moving, so she took and wiped some of the fog off of the glass door. And she sees this towel like be pulled off of the bar that was across the glass. And she's just staring at this towel, and she wiped more fog off the door. And here, in the middle of her bathroom, the towel was going in a circle about 5 feet in the air with nobody doing it. Yes, they can do all kinds of things. And this would be a week that they would do it. You would really notice it more this week because there is a full moon this weekend on Sunday. So if you've got anything going on in your house, you're going to know it this week for sure. Okay, this is from Connie. I have a few questions. When people see ghosts, how come they can be seen either a dark mass or a mist, or can be almost as a real person but transparent, or shadow people? Do ghosts manipulate their energy into how people will see them? Do you know why this is? It is not the ghost doing it, it's you. This is how you are seeing them. They are not projecting how they want you to see them. This is how you are seeing them. This week, because of the full moon, they might be stronger, and so you'd see more than a shadow or more than somebody that maybe is there but you can't see a face, or so it has nothing to do with the ghost. It's how much energy they have at that time and what you are capable of seeing. Um, Her son asked this question: can ghosts travel to outer space? I don't know. Good question. I have no idea. I will see if someday I can find out the answer to that one. Um, I saw in your YouTube video that you mentioned the oldest ghost you had seen and that the oldest was from the 1850s. Were you able to cross them over, or did they still want to stay? No. Usually when I find ghosts from that long ago, they are more than ready to cross over. They just didn't know how. So, no, that's not an issue. The only issue that I have ever had recently in the past, actually good 20 years, there is an old man ghost in Hinckley, Ohio that I can't get rid of. He's been a thorn in my side for 20 years now, if I can see him. But I hate to tell you this, but he usually flips me off. I can't get him to cross over. Okay, and this last question she has: when a home has been protected by quincies and a person passes away and does not choose to go into the light and happens to be inside a protected home after their white light disappears, then they are stuck in the home, correct? Correct. And as an example, there was a man's mother who absolutely hated his wife, and she made a point of being in the house that had been protected, and she lost her light, and she did that intentionally so that she could give her daughter-in-law nothing but grief. So, yeah. Now, how could someone prevent that from happening? Would removing a seed to let them out ensure them that they would go? No. Never take those seeds down. When a person first dies, they have that white light around them, which means they are not stuck. So if your house has seeds on it, they can still come in and out at will. The only way they can't come back in is if they lose their light on the outside, they can't come in, or if they lose their light on the inside, they can't get out. And yes, I have encountered this. And so leave the seeds where they are, and if they're stuck, we can figure out what to do about that. Okay, this one is from Peggy in Oklahoma. My husband and I built our home 17 years ago, and there is a ghost in our house. One night, just a few weeks ago, I was sleeping, and I felt someone take my blankets and tuck them under me. So I woke up and rolled over, and there standing by my bed was a man figure. I stared at it, asked what he wanted, and he just stood there. When I reached for my phone, he faded away. This was just the latest of things that have happened in our house. And we're curious to know why our house. You know, there's no rhyme or reason. A lot of times when somebody finds a ghost, and let's use your bedroom, where somebody feels like they're putting your covers up around your neck or tucking you in, a lot of times these are people that have crossed over and are just there for a visit. It's not, they're just being nice, patting your hair, rubbing your cheek. There's nothing wrong with that as long as they're from the light. And you obviously weren't afraid of it, so that might have given you a good gut instinct of that it was nothing to be afraid of. The only thing that I would suggest, because obviously it doesn't happen all the time, the next time this happens, pay attention to the date. Is it the date of somebody that you love birthday or the day they died? Is it your birthday, somebody in the family's birthday, somebody that crossed over that's visiting? And maybe that's the only reason that they're there. And maybe that day you're not thinking of them, but they're certainly thinking about you. So, and if you start feeling uncomfortable with it, of course you could smudge or have the house blessed by an ordained priest or minister. The other thing that you can always do, try to call within 24, 48 hours of this happening. And if the ghost isn't there, at least I could still pick up on some residue and let you know, what I got off of the call. So those are definitely things that you can try. This one is from Lana in Texas. I'm a flight attendant for a major airline. I travel all over the world on a weekly basis. My main route is Tel Aviv, Israel. I live with my boyfriend in Houston and his 2 children. I feel that I may have earthbound spirit attached to me or in my boyfriend's home. The house has a very dark feeling to it. There are certain parts of the home that I usually avoid going into. I have been reading about the paranormal for a long time, and I'm just interested in what you do. I just finished reading your book, When Ghosts Speak, and I feel that I may have attracted and brought home an earthbound spirit with me. This house seems to have bad feelings. I cannot explain why it feels the way it does. I know that there has been several unhappy people occupying the home before I entered it. I feel the only way to restore happiness to this home and its occupants is to figure out what is wrong with it. Couple hints here, and you didn't go into detail. Is your boyfriend single because of a divorce or a death? Did the ex-wife or the wife that died in this house or live in this house? If that's the case, there could be a portal in that house. If there had been fighting in that house, that could obviously have something to do with it. And your job, unfortunately, being a flight attendant, you do have a tendency, anybody that flies has a tendency to bring stuff home with them. And not just where the countries that you fly to. This is any country. This is anywhere in the United States. So, couple of things. If you don't have a quincy charm on, you really should. But start carrying sea salt with you. Blessed sea salt is better, but at least get sea salt. Put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in your suitcase on the outside of your suitcase, in a zipper on the outside. That way when you get to your hotel room, wherever you're traveling to, you don't have to root around in your suitcase to look for your sea salt. But as soon as you get into that hotel room, get that little pouch of salt out, sprinkle it around the doorway. When you first walk in that room, it's been empty, so there should not be any earthbound spirits in it. And if you put a little bit of sea salt over the threshold of the doorway between the hallway and the bedroom, not a lot, but maybe 75–80% of the time, an earthbound spirit won't cross that. So that'll give you a little bit of protection. If you have a portal in the house, that could be a problem because earthbound spirits obviously come in and out of portals. The only way I would be able to tell that for sure is from a phone call. The other thing is if this was, say, a nasty divorce beside a portal, maybe there's a curse on the house, or maybe your boyfriend has a curse on him. The last chapter in When Ghosts Speak, read that, do the little ceremony on your boyfriend, and see if that doesn't make a difference. And of course, you can call. And our last one for today is, since my Ursula from Canada. Since my husband passed away, I can smell him in my bedroom. This happens about once a week. There was pounding noises on the window like someone was trying to get my attention and a glimmer of light flashing through every once in a while. Also, lately I keep finding white hair-like stuff on my carpet and clothes. My husband had beautiful white hair. We were married for 40 years when he died and very much in love. I miss him so much. I think he is still with me, but I did dream about him a few times. He died of cancer. Two things. Usually, cancer patients do not stick around. They've been sick for so long, they are so tired, they usually cross over. Now, somebody that's diagnosed with cancer today and dies in 2 weeks, that's a whole other ballgame. But I'm talking about long lingering illness. They're not going to stick around, they're going to go. The second thing that you said you dream of him, that tells me automatically that he has crossed over. Now, because you smell him, that also tells me that apparently about once a week he comes through to see how you're doing. Some people will smell maybe a cologne that a grandma always wore, an aftershave that your husband or a grandpa wore, a cigar smell when grandpa smoked a cigar. Sometimes there is an odor or a scent that reminds you of somebody that has died. That is probably them just visiting. So the next time you dream of your husband, try to talk to him in the dream. And once you get used to doing that, you can have great conversations with him. So I think you're really okay, Ursula. I don't really think there's a problem. I touched on it about this full moon that is July 5th. It peaks here in the east at 12:45 a.m. So this week, again, if you've got an earthbound spirit in your house, you are going to know about it because this is going to be a pretty full moon. I was going to look it up and I forgot. If I'm not mistaken, and if I am, I'm sure people will tell me. I think this is called the thunder moon, but I'm not sure. So don't be surprised if you start, noticing things happening in your house. And doggone, that Mercury retrograde is not over till the 12th, the 13th. And this one has been a pip. So looking forward to seeing that go. Next week, we will be talking about children. Gotten quite a few letters on kids, what's going on, how they're acting. A lot of questions about that. And I'm still waiting if you want more, or you have questions about pets or people that were murdered or suicides. Week or two after that, we will talk about those two things. So have a great 4th of July. Please stay safe, and we will see you next week. Thanks.